myself too. Anyway,
Ellie
why don't we do a show? Because we're like way late. Why don't we do a show?
On Facebook once. I know Carrie Kemper.
Okay, we'll do that. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Friday edition of the Damage Report under a lockdown. I am joined today, as always, by the host of the Happy Half Hour, Brett Erlich. Welcome back.
I'm having some abdominal issues. We'll be fine. I don't know what happened, but something just happened. Maybe it was the music.
Maybe you were.
It's your soothing voice.
I think you were clapping excitedly to the theme song, which it had a bit of like a sort of dance vibe. We're gonna have to add that in as the video. But anyway, I'm glad that you're here, Brett. And it's because we have a number of different topics to get through. We're going to be responding a little bit to Trump's press conference / speech given at one of the facilities producing protective equipment. We're going to have a bit of that. I mean, we've got some crazy stories today about ICE, about energy companies and what they're getting away with. The way the public is increasingly viewing the media. But most importantly, all of that is just nothing. Don't care about it. But we got garbage people to get to. And I'm pretty excited for my garbage people.
I'm excited for mine.
Yeah, you are? We'll
I haven't been this excited about a garbage person in a while.
And I'm trying to do the thing we've been talking about. I have been inspired by... There are certain people in the news that want you to not just cover things that are negative, to give people hope. And so I'm glad you're on the show today, because I'm going to talk about John Krasinski. So I have found a positive thing to add to the end of my garbage people. So I'm very excited about that. Anyway.
Good for you. And I'm excited because my wife heard my plight and suddenly I'm just going to do a Pepto shot and I'll toss a Tum in or two. We'll be all right.
Has anything in America fallen apart to the extent that this program has fallen apart over the past 2 months?
I also kind of still have residual vertigo, so that shot just kind of... We're fine, John. I want everyone to watch Happy Half Hour tonight. Emma Vigeland is on.
What?
She drinks an IPA. I tossed back a Negroni that later in the show I discovered did have gummy bears in it. I had totally forgotten. So everyone tune in for that. We're going to go through. It's a little Pop Trigger style. We have a segment called Patrianarchy where we determine the extent of the extent to which someone needs to be held accountable for an agreement they made to their fans regarding exposing themselves in return for Billboard chart toppers. So tune in. That's a hot button issue right now.
I had not heard about that. But anyway, very excited to see that later on, to get to all the topics today. If you've already been commenting or sending in tweets or super chats or anything like that, we're going to cover that. This is a heads up to both the audience, but also to Brett. We got a load of stuff to get to, so we're going to try to keep it a little bit quicker to make sure we get to everything, because there is no way we're not going to reveal our garbage people. Anyway, so with that, why don't we jump into the news? Yesterday, Donald Trump was speaking at one of the factories producing personal protective equipment, and the very important topic. There's really nothing as important right now as the topic of testing and what the government's stance towards increased testing will be, especially as it's telling all of these states that they need to reopen and send everyone back out into society. So let's check in with Donald Trump's thoughts around testing recently.
Don't forget, we have more cases than anybody in the world. But why? Because we do more testing. When you test, you have a case. When you test, you find something is wrong with people. If we didn't do any testing, we would have very few cases.
So I looked into it, and that's not how it works. We would still have the cases. They wouldn't be logged. But the havoc that they would wreak on people's health, the fact that they would die, the actual thing about a case that matters would still exist. So
there's the perceived context in which he is saying this and the real context in which he's saying this are different. Mm-hmm. Now, he's basically saying, hey, you guys are calling me out for having such a high case count, but that's only because and his argument is because we're testing more than everyone else. That's not necessarily true. Per capita, we're not testing as high as other countries have. Mm-hmm. But so there's a slightly different context in which he's saying it versus how people are saying he just doesn't want to test because he doesn't want higher counts. Now, he has said that in the past.
Mm-hmm.
In the past, he has absolutely said it in that context.
Thank
He
you
has
for
absolutely
acknowledging
says,
that.
I don't want to test people for this exact reason. He doesn't
Or
want to
like
test
bring
people because
people like in from a cruise ship because then our numbers would go up.
exactly. He wants to fudge the numbers,
Mhm.
which what he's admitting to in those other situations is a China style cover up. So
Yeah.
as much as he wants to talk trash on China, as much as China is undoubtedly covering up their total numbers, so's Donald Trump. The only difference is China's smart enough not to admit to it in front of everybody.
Yeah, that's true. And look, the first again, if he hadn't continually given us so many reasons to believe that he does actually that what he is concerned about is the public perception that people are dying more so than that they're actually dying. And like the story this week about Jared Kushner saying we can't order PPE because then it's going to spook the market earlier on. Like, so this is not just about responding to a media narrative. This is trying to control optics even at the expense of many lives. But also, like, have there been people in the media that have said, why is it that America has lost so many more people than other countries? Yes, but that is by far dwarfed by the concern over the number of bodies. It's not just like, well, I'd be fine with 85,000 if Russia had 100. No. Yeah, we would prefer the idea that we were taking it seriously, but the most important thing is limiting the absolute number of people that die.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I ran for student body president and I won, just to put that out there. But being student body president sucks. Running for student body president is awesome and super fun and a competition. And if you're a competitive person, you feel so vibrant and alive. Yeah. That's exactly Trump. That's how I'm like Donald Trump. Like, I loved running for president, and so does he, because people have to pay attention to him, and he knows what to do. There's a goal there. But governing is such a nebulous set of responsibilities that most people at least understand, and at the very least understand how to communicate to people in a time of a crisis. Mm-hmm. It's the easiest thing to do to bring America together in a time of crisis. Yeah. He doesn't either want to do that or know how to do that. It's not in his nature.
Yeah. Let's turn to a little bit more on testing. Here is Donald Trump yesterday.
We have the best testing in the world. It could be the testing's, frankly, overrated. Maybe it is overrated.
That's the problem. Yeah. That is a much worse statement than the one everyone's freaking out about.
Mm-hmm. That's why I led with that one and then built to this one.
John, I'm not interested in how you make the sausage.
Trump is getting tested daily now, and so is Vice President Pence. It's overrated, but for me, I mean, I want to get tested.
But that's the disconnect. Yeah, that's the utter disconnect. He is looking out absolutely for himself. And the reason that he says testing is overrated is because he doesn't want it to test anymore, because he doesn't want his numbers to go up. Mm-hmm. There's a difference. Like, if he said that first thing and said, listen, the numbers are higher for us, but at least we have a more real sense of what's happening. Numbers like that are happening elsewhere in the world, maybe at that rate per capita, but I'd rather know how many cases we actually have so I can prevent more cases in the future. I want to know what I'm working with, but he doesn't. And he is so cynically saying that we should not test because it's overrated without providing any reason for that. We have underrated numbers because we're not testing enough, and testing could not be rated higher. We need more.
Yeah. And so, look, one of the things that I've been talking the most about the past couple of weeks is just how continually shocked I am that there does not appear to be any protective measure or advice from medical professionals benign enough or easy enough that the right won't still say that you shouldn't do it. No matter how simple or easy or non-onerous it could be, they're still going to attack it. And as the numbers continue to rise, it is just like the fact that I can still watch news shows and go on social media and see so many people still just talking about this as if it's like a normal thing. Like, these are normal times. I'm just observing what's going on in the country, and I don't know about this comment that they've made, or like talking about the election in these these ways that are so detached from the everyday horror of what we're experiencing right now. It's killing me.
The hyperbolic criticism of the social media age is that we go into our own bubbles and we don't really interact with anyone. And that has gotten exacerbated by this crisis, because it's not just figurative that we don't interact with anyone else outside our bubbles. It is literal that we don't interact with anyone else outside our direct vicinity.
Yeah.
And the only way we do it is through these algorithmically reinforced opinion bubbles.
Yeah.
And that is so much more dangerous now. Like, we've had conversations about how it just seems to be getting worse. And it absolutely is, because they've shut out any variable, any way that you could interact with someone who doesn't either hold your same opinion or hold an opinion so counter to yours that it has made its way into your feed, because Facebook incentivizes interactions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And look, obviously, the things that I see, I'm certainly being affected by that as well. I'm seeing, like, it doesn't matter how many times I acknowledge that Twitter is fundamentally not representative of literally anything else. I still see certain things and don't see other things and get affected by it, obviously. But anyway, yeah, just like seeing, like, it doesn't even matter if it's people on the right or if it's people in the center or people ostensibly that agree with me a lot in politics. Like, seeing like Obamagate, or like just like this like totally disconnected like coverage of like the stimulus bill or something, and it's like I want to take everyone in the country and shake them and like, what the F are you doing? Like, how many people are dying literally as you're typing that tweet or saying that quippy little thing or whatever? We gotta move on. We gotta move on. Yeah, it's gonna be months more of this daily horror. That's all I'm saying. Okay, let's.
And it is just as entertaining to watch you unravel, for me.
I'm glad someone's getting something out of it. Okay, so let's talk about this. I've been critical of Donald Trump for his lack of expressions of empathy for those who are suffering and risking their lives during this pandemic. But I do want to acknowledge when he does attempt to show empathy, even if the result can be a little bit strange.
Vital supplies to our healthcare warriors, and they are warriors, aren't they, when you see them going into those hospitals and they're putting the stuff that you deliver, but they're wrapping themselves and the doors are opening and they're going through the doors and they're not even ready to go through those doors. They probably shouldn't, but they can't get there fast enough, and they're running into death just like soldiers run into bullets, in a true sense. I see that with the doctors and the nurses and so many of the people that go into those hospitals. It's incredible to see. It's a beautiful thing to see, but
it's just not how you communicate that sentiment that you saw in a movie once.
I know. Like, I feel like they're like, now that's in my brain and I have to get it out. Like, I have to drill into a lobe. Pick a lobe, drill into it. Like, soldiers run into bullets. If you're a soldier, be careful. Don't run into the bullets.
Like,
he's trying.
What is he? That's it.
Him trying.
It's all movies. He's
Thank
never
you, Trump, for trying. A little.
And then, like, Michael Schur is on the show on TYT today, and he was talking about how this very obvious campaign trip was paid for by the White House. Mm-hmm. And that's what he's doing. And so this is his first real foray recently out into the world, after trying to replace his campaign rallies with daily press briefings, which didn't really help him and only made a star out of Anthony Fauci and brought us such amazing moments as, can we look into injecting people with disinfectant? That's out of the way. Now he's back out there, but he can't go to a group of Trump supporters, so you don't hear the cheering. And he doesn't get the crowd feedback. You watch him bomb.
Yeah, that's
watch
true.
Him bomb.
Which is impossible at a rally for him.
What he could rely on at a rally is, even if he said something stupid, which that's what the rally's all about, the worst he'd get is like a clap because they know they have to.
Yeah.
Instead,
they're happy to be
dead
there.
silence. So he's just flailing because for the first time in forever, he hasn't either A, had people in front of him losing their minds with support, or someone he can disparage openly that is his clear enemy, which he leverages in a press conference for his own supporters to then wildly lose their minds at home.
But he could, like, he could be at a rally in 2 weeks or something. Like, it seems crazy. I don't think they'll do that, but he could do it. He'll go to some Republican state, and if like DeSantis is like, sir, that seems a little bit extreme. Shut up, DeSantis. And DeSantis will be like, okay, I'll open up the Tampa Dome or whatever. I don't know. You probably know the name of the particular dome, but they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it, and they're gonna do it soon. So what we've learned today so far is don't run into the bullets. It's like they're wrapping themselves, and it's a beautiful thing that they run into the door and they're not ready to run into the door. It's like he was made earlier today.
You know how like the brain is 80% water? Like, so are his speeches. Like 80% of his speeches are just nothing. Mm-hmm. You know, they're going and they're rapping, and when they have what you do, they have it. And then they rap, and how much of that was just no sentiments? No concepts communicated. And then he's like, then it's like, he's like, I have to give an image. It's bullets going at soldiers. Say something like, we are in a debt. We have a great debt to you for the sacrifices you make. And I don't know how anyone does it. I am in awe of your sacrifice. Say that.
Brett,
those are the kinds.
Presidential.
But we all have, I mean, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to read a few super chats, then move on to even darker material. Zane says, Brett's doing Blow Without Me. Cut me some Ajax, in reference to Brett's song before the stream. Wait, how did they hear that? Harvey says...
Mics are never open before the stream.
Or during it. Just because all of you are awesome. Thank you for sending that in. Zane says, he said something. Thank you, Zane. Zane also says, can't wait for Happy Half Hour. Loving the texture. Interesting. Chubtoad says, the quality of the show has only gotten better. Chubtoad, that indicates that you too are suffering in terms of your visual perception. But thank you. It's very nice of you. F. Harvey says, guys, I found out I'm not pregnant because I am staying away from pregnancy tests. If you don't test, you don't have a case. If you test, then you have a baby. Much love, Team John and Yentl. The sis you wished you never had. Thank you, F. Harvey.
Yay.
Rob also said, John, I overheard the drug talk with your friend Brett, and I'm starting to worry that you're hanging out with the wrong crowd. Why can't you be more like your big sister Anna? Thank you, I'm trying. She tries to push me in the right direction.
Anna pushes drugs all the time.
There you go. And then over on the hashtag TDR Live, Brittany apparently is playing the show on her projector. Thank you. But what time zone are you in? But thank you. And Eclectic Miscellaneous says, running into bullets, Trump must be thinking of Super Mario Brothers. Exactly. Yeah.
And they're jumping on top of the bullets.
And then you ride the bullet through Kandahar. He's not a smart man, but nothing. Anyway, okay, so with that, we've got a lot to get to. So we're going to roll right along into a doozy of a story. I want to take a look at this story being reported now by Reason.com. It involves ICE agents over the course of literally years propositioning women at massage parlors for sex work effectively, supposedly to track down human trafficking. And it turned out to be more of a disaster than even that description really gets across. So let me catch you up a little bit on this. Federal agents had at least 17 sexual encounters in massage parlors around Mojave County, Arizona, over a 5-month period in 2018, according to new research from the Howard Center for Investigative Journalism at Arizona State University. Internal ICE documents show these activities had the blessings of agent supervisors. So the plan was to have these sexual encounters as part of an investigation, and it wasn't just like a thing they did secretly behind their supervisors' backs. They had the okay to do that. An HSI memo on the investigation describes instance after instance of an undercover federal agent telling a masseuse to, quote, masturbate him. In several instances, ICE agents paid extra for masseuses to strip naked or go topless while doing that. And at the Reason article, which you can find available right now, they go into a lot more detail about how graphic some of these requests were and things like that, just so that you know how insane this was. To give you an idea, some of the reports are peppered with descriptions like, quote, "The female was very skinny with small breasts." As part of an investigation, I'm not sure exactly why that sort of detail would be noted or would be a part of it, but if this was just guys trying to use their job to be able to have, apparently, the federal government pay for them to get involved in sex work, then yes, if that was your goal, then it sort of makes sense.
And the report says that there were only like 3 misdemeanor charges from one raid incident.
Exactly.
There are different levels of using your position of power to your own benefit. Like, listen, if I was a police officer, maybe I'd turn on my siren to get through a red light.
Mm-hmm.
This is the opposite of that. It gets worse and worse. Like, I can't fathom something more like exaggerated as a satire.
What
like,
about
this is exactly
the name?
what you're.
How about that?
Oh yeah, how about the
fact
name?
that it's Operation Asian Touch, and that's not like what the Washington Post is calling it. That's what they called it.
Like, and frequently when you come up with a secret name for your project, you're trying not to tip the hat too much as to what it actually is. Like, it is it's exactly what you're afraid they would try to do. And the name really underscores the creative minds behind this sting operation and how non-creative they are. But like, that's it. You were, the worst part is these are the people you're trying to protect. These are the victims
that you are supposed to try to protect.
Right. That's what I mean.
And that you say you are.
Whose traffickers, whose captors are using their bodies to profit off of in a way that is a version of modern day slavery, right? Like, that's what it's compared to. And you're doing the slave thing.
Yeah.
You are taking advantage, you're victimizing them further in a way that isn't like and it isn't like when you do a drug deal. This is bad. I feel so bad because I'm trying to compare it to things when I don't even think I need to compare it to things. Like, everyone knows how terrible this is. But like, if there's a drug deal, you don't do the drugs.
Yeah.
You don't do the drugs. You enter into an agreement that exposes that this thing is happening, and then you bust the bad people.
Exactly. Yeah. This would be like if you believed that people were being forced to sell drugs with the threat of violence, and so you bought the drugs from them, but you also like physically assaulted them during it. Like, you're saying that you care about the victim, but you are yourself victimized. If they are victims, it's of the sort of thing that you're doing to them. And the calling it Operation Asian Touch, the fact that so they said not all of the massage workers that the ICE agents visited would agree to sex acts when requested. And their memos muse that this is probably because the women were onto their agents' identities. So, assuming that they're being honest there, that is awful, because what they're doing is they're saying, well, if they do it, then hypothetically we can arrest them. If they don't do it, that's just proof of how much criminality is going on here.
It's so weird. Like, are you allowed to do the drugs if you're a narc? I don't know. And
Probably.
Then also, do 17 of you need to do the drugs or more?
Yeah.
So that eventually you can bust one, like make 3 charges? No.
Yeah. And so, look, the reason I want to talk about this was obviously because this is insane and people need to know about this. We have talked for over the course of years about abuses of various sorts among ICE agents. This is a particular genre of those abuses that should get way more attention than they currently do. And this story should serve as a reminder of the fact that this is not like a standout story that is the only one of its type involving ICE agents and the broader world of law enforcement, police officers as well. This sort of sexual exploitation is all over the place. In Border Patrol, ICE agents as well, they are given power over these people in a society that is trained to think that the victims themselves are horrible people, it is a toxic stew. And people get into the system sometimes to take advantage of it. And very often, even if it becomes news, not a lot of people really talk about it. This is national news. It's not a gigantic thing. How could it not be? It astounds me.
Yep.
Okay, check in very briefly. Let's see. Dango Bengal says, will you cover the story about the hackers demands $1 million in return for Trump's info? I have not actually heard anything about that. Brett, are you familiar with that?
No, I am not familiar with that.
And second, how do you feel about an expansion of food stamps for everyone? I think that sort of expansion is very much warranted considering the employment situation we're in, the lack of income that people are going to have. I don't think it should be the only form that it comes in. I think raw cash payments should be there as well. But yes, I think it should be a part of it.
I disagree. But
which part?
In very obvious ways, like if you can afford not to have food stamps, we shouldn't give you food stamps.
No. When I was saying the expansion, I don't mean necessarily for literally everyone, but I mean there should be a if nothing else, to counter the fact that there's been a huge contraction of food stamp benefits over the past few years.
Yes.
And by the way, I wanted to mention, as I'm in this document, one of the individuals who puts this together is Bart, who many of you are familiar with. If you remember back when we were doing live videos before the show in the studio, he would occasionally pop in to tell me how wrong I am about pop culture. I believe this is his 13th anniversary with the network. Jeez.
I saw that too this morning. Holy farts.
He has been here almost twice as long as me.
That's
to the beginning.
That's 2/3 of my life he's been at TYT.
You've aged prematurely. But anyway, thank you, Bart, for everything you do. For the show, for the network, right now, for making sure that I know what people are saying about the show and everything. You are indispensable. Can't imagine doing it without you. So thank you for everything.
Also, he makes we've been playing him before the show every day, the mixes for like the Ben Shapiro drunk stuff. And today, Little Richard.
Yeah, and the one of my favorites is the They're Bringing mashup that he has.
They're bringing crime.
They're bringing oranges. Drugs. They're bringing China. That's amazing. You got to make that available in a folder. I want to play one of those before the show sometime. But anyway, let's jump back into the news. You might have seen this video going around of reporter Kevin Vasey, TV reporter for News 12 Long Island, being berated by Trump fans. Take a look.
I'm just trying to get by on the sidewalk, that's all.
You shouldn't be here, you fake news. You stopped airing the Trump briefings and you keep airing Cuomo briefings. Go home, you fake news. Go home.
You're destroying something in Long Island. You are the enemy of the people. You are the enemy.
We all know it. You are fake news. We know that you're liberal agenda. We know you want to keep your job. We get it. You're not getting advertising dollars in right now.
You're not going to answer, so you're just going to go live.
Yes, I am getting a paycheck.
I'm very happy, but other people are not getting paychecks, and they're not going to.
You used to be a good channel at one time. I don't know what happened to you.
No, you're a hack.
You let so much crap fly on your Facebook page. It's disgusting. You're disgusting. You're the virus.
There we go.
Away. 6 feet.
Yeah. Put me on TV too. My name is Rich.
Tell the truth, Kevin. Come on.
Fake news is not essential. 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 Fake news is not essential.
Okay, so that was something. What really struck me about that, Brett, was that It wasn't the individual things that anyone at that protest was saying to this individual. It was that they were all saying something like, is he like the Michael Jordan of Long Island? Everyone knew who he was. Everyone had something that they were prepped to say to this reporter. It was the whole protest became about the fact that a member of the media was covering it. And again, if you're organizing a protest, ostensibly you want media coverage.
There's so much bad about that. There's so much it proves to me. One, just whenever you're at a place brimming with such vitriol, and then you see a kid near the mom who is losing it at some guy, the looks on all those kids' faces are, you watch neural pathways being forged. Kids who cross-reference what mom tells them to do on a normal basis, like don't yell at people, don't be mean, be kind, which I'm sure she tells her kid, against what's happening now, which is mom just berated a stranger. And everyone around here is so mad and angry. It's got to be terrifying to that kid. And also this kid's going through an already terrifying situation.
Yeah, and not understanding what's going on.
It's disturbing. It is so wildly disturbing.
Yeah. Just the... Like, I don't know Kevin VC. I don't know News 12 Long Island. If you are in the chat and you follow it, if he is routinely insane or offensive or something, like if there is anything that justifies this uniform, enraged, deranged reaction, then I would love to know what it is. I'm assuming the thing that has caused it is the fact that these people have been trained over the course of their lives in a general sense, but certainly over the past few years by Trump, that if anyone tells you anything that makes you even briefly uncomfortable, you do not have to accept it. It doesn't matter if it comes from a scientist or a professor or a doctor, a member of the media, anyone whose job it is to understand things and communicate a more accurate understanding of reality, those people are your enemy and you don't have to trust them. And in fact, you can make yourself feel really good by just attacking them in a deranged fashion. That's what they've been trained to do, and so that's what they're doing. They go to these protests to tell people that small businesses are essential or whatever, but mainly to attack the people that they hate.
But we still see them suffering the consequences, and some of them change their tune. There's so much internal problem with their logic, but we're covering on Young Turks later today. There are multiple instances, like there was a woman at a Trader Joe's who went and yelled at someone, which already it's hilarious, yelling at someone in a Hawaiian shirt that you're mad at them. Yeah, he's having a chill day. You lose the moral high ground berating someone behind whom is a coconut carved to look like a monkey. But yelled at him and said, "I don't need to wear a mask." And wouldn't you know it, after that's done, she is now sick. There's a Uber driver or a rideshare driver in Jupiter, Florida, who said he didn't take it seriously. Now he is sick and he wishes he took it seriously. And that is the muscle they don't have, which is the ability to empathize, the ability to take things as a whole and rationally appraise them and live their lives according to the conclusions they make based on what the situation dictates a reasonable person to do. But they don't want to be reasonable. They want to feel right. And that's the problem. And I will say this about local news. This is a local news guy. And I'm sure they know they're local news guy because people like this, most people anyway, before there was Facebook, there was a hole in their understanding of the world that was filled by local news. That's how you got that extra bit of something to talk about with your friends about what's happening. It was a robbery, a burglary, a kid who was kidnapped. You got the local news that filled that void for you. But now that has been filled with crazy Trump sycophant news content. And we have this service that we're trying out here at TYT. It's a service that just kind of shows you what's trending on the internet, not just Twitter, but specific articles that are doing well. And the ones that pop the most are these ones that just go out to like the Daily Wire and the Daily Caller, because that is where all that vitriol is concentrated and it gets a bump. And instead of things needing to happen out in the world for us to see them, for that to be our perception of how the world really is, it's just fed fake ideas of what the world actually is and into these little small media pockets.
Yeah.
And then those are poached and amplified on a national scale, trying to turn that into people's perception of what's actually happening when it was all manufactured from the get-go.
Yeah. Just one thing I want to respond to in defense of the woman at the Trader Joe's. She now has the symptoms. She does not appear to take it seriously, though. Like, she still seems to not take it seriously. But yeah, and just as a reminder, she's the most recent example of this, of, I don't need this, it's all a hoax, it's made up, and then gets sick. But you had, there's someone who was, against the rules, cutting hair in New York, who's now sick. Yeah. And that, look, I'm sure for economic reasons, but the warning was accurate. And again, I hope this person ends up being fine. But the people who were, I forget which state it was, but one of the organizers of the lockdowns got sick, and all the pastors saying that they had, the blood of Christ or whatever, and then they ended up getting sick, and many of them died. Like you can't stubborn away the virus. That just doesn't work. That's not.
And
how
the
it
last
works.
little bit is there's this libertarian streak in them that's like, don't tread on me, but they forget that everyone is a me. Mm-hmm. Everyone, you're treading on them. You're treading on other people. That's the reason we have the laws you agree with, is to protect you. Yeah. Everyone is an individual, and we have made these decisions because, as much as they want to say it's like the flu, more people have died from this than died from the flu this year. So it's much, much worse. And those smaller numbers are the direct result. They could be much, much higher if not for the actions of people putting the restrictions in place that you are complaining about.
Yeah, I mean, God only knows how bad it would be today if we had never. What?
And your dear leader's claiming credit for that. Well,
yeah,
and your dear and Trump is trying to take credit. He literally tweeted a brag saying everyone should thank their lucky stars for me, the president, for making the governor's regulations happen and the lowered numbers happen. Well, those things that lowered the numbers that he's now taking credit for which previously he had literally said outright, I don't take responsibility for them. Those things that yielded that success for him are things that governors who disagreed with him put in place.
And he's telling them to stop.
Yeah.
Because again, doesn't take responsibility. Okay, let's switch things up slightly. Okay. Back a few years ago, California was the site of horrendous, deadly wildfires. It is in the best of years, but it was particularly bad back in 2017, 2018. And as a result, one of the power companies, Pacific Gas and Electric, had a massive fine levied against them. At least up until recently, because California regulators just yesterday suspended a $200 million fine against Pacific Gas and Electric as punishment for the utility's neglect of electrical equipment that ignited a series of deadly wildfires. It had been blamed for the fires 15 different wildfires that killed more than 100 people and destroyed more than 25,000 homes and other buildings over a 2-year period. So there are still some fines that it will face, but $200 million being erased is certainly nice. It's a good deal if you can get it.
Yeah, I understand suspending certain aspects of a penalty if the implementation of that penalty would harm more people in the long run. I just don't think that's the case here. I think yes, they can. I mean, yeah, they should rework whatever, restructure whatever. They're in a bankruptcy currently that we're trying to get them out on the other side of, to be a cleaner, more responsible company that takes its obligation to have functioning, safe infrastructure more seriously. I would just hope that in this time, we're also looking at the incomes of their CEOs. Mm-hmm. And another aspect of this is we are going into there's people on these councils who are I don't know who they're listening to. If they're listening to PG&E say, actually, it would be a lot easier if we didn't pay this fine because you want electricity, don't you? And then I guess the people on the board just go, yeah, that makes sense. There's a little bit of silver lining in that people are not being charged extra extra for their, overages or whatever in this time. Like the amount that PG&E is allowed to take in from people making it through this crisis has been lessened. But we also need to look to something else that's happened where like banks have intercepted the stimulus fund or the aid funds from people who are overdrawn. So on the one hand, if you go to PG&E and say, we understand things are hard, so we're not going to go as hard on you right now. But then you go to the actual people whose money is being taken by PG&E eventually to pay those bills, and you're intercepting it in the meantime. That's a double standard.
Exactly. And I want to give people information about the portions of the fines and consequences that are still active. It's still being punished by regulators in the form of nearly $1.9 billion that it won't be able to collect through higher electricity rates and other fees passed on to the roughly 16 million people who rely on the nation's largest utility for power. Regulators also are restricting some of the $425 million in tax savings the utility may realize from the $1.9 billion penalty. That last bit makes seemingly all the sense in the world. And they are saying effectively that we're getting rid of one portion that less directly helps people so that they can do the part that will help people more. I guess if it ends up being right, then good. But the damage that was done is just insane. And I know that it's negligence, it's not malice or anything like that, but the fact that, so many people lost their lives, 25,000 houses and buildings, unimaginable damage to so many people's lives, even those who weren't injured, weren't killed. This is the sort of deal that, no one owes to, it's the sort of thing that, they're big and they're powerful. They have people on that commission that are probably connected to them financially, if not now, then perhaps in the future. It's the same story that we see all the time.
Yeah, I agree. And it's heartbreaking and stinky. And just to go back to how bad it was before that, people knew. People know that they have so much infrastructure they need to build up and how much it takes on a yearly basis to do that. And they just hadn't. Mm-hmm. It is negligence, but that's why they call it gross negligence, because it's real gross.
Exactly. Sort of willful negligence. Yeah. Okay, so let's go into the super chats a bit. We're seeing what are these? I don't know, why are these?
It just says promote podcast reviews, and under
I
it
put
are
that
just
there.
Picture of us looking real
There's
cool.
a picture of Brett. Can I show? What is going on with that picture of Brett? Do you remember that picture being taken?
I do remember that. That was our headshot day.
It's not a bad picture. You look like you're playing a young Steve Jobs type character.
You know what that is? That's also, my mom frequently gets me cozy sweaters, and she got me this one that was a thick knit cotton with douche collar.
Oh, okay.
Douche collar that goes really high.
Yeah.
But you could button it. So it was this big, this V-neck thing, and you could button it up to here.
Yeah.
So for this photo, I saw that Cassie had a black background. I was like, I know what to do. I'll bring this. And I turned it backwards and buttoned it behind my neck. So I got the black turtleneck that was all the rage circa 2000 and, let's look at that hairline, 2018.
Was it? And anyway, I think that's also a picture of me and you doing Happy Half Hour back during when it was testing.
Yeah, that's what, show them again, because that's what Happy Half Hour used to look like.
It's better now.
That was the first set that we came up with.
It's better now.
It was in there for a very long time.
Okay, so Obi Mom Kenobi says it's like playing hide and seek with a toddler who puts their hands over their eyes and thinks you can't see them. Bro, I can still see you. I think talking about the testing there. Charlie Ellis says, so if we don't do pregnancy tests, there won't be any unwanted pregnancies, right? Charlie sent that before I made that comment, so he still gets credit. Dave Piggott says, in reference to the story I told at the beginning, Barbara Cartland was Princess Di's step-gran. I did not know that. Amazing. Donna Hernandez, thank you for your dancing pair. Environmental Coffee House says, interact and be a citizens journalist like we are. We educate on abrupt climate change and environmental and geopolitical issues. Hashtag degrowth. Thank you, Environmental Coffee House.
It's a great name, Environmental Coffee House.
Joshua says, John and Brett are keeping me sane in these dark times, and everyone should like and share Dag Nabbit. Thank you. You should. We're not at 1,000 likes.
Where did Dag Nabbit come from?
It's a dagger in my back. It's 869 daggers in my back. Come on, people, hit that like button. Anyway, okay, so Robbo Soul says, that's a cool name. That's a good Star Wars name. Testing is overrated because it's free.
I would like to say that
maybe
that's funny. But don't worry, people are still getting paid by tax money to provide those tests.
Yeah.
So the contract's being fulfilled. Darn it. Oh, Environmental Coffee House sounds like a really conceptual Netflix sitcom.
Yeah. Not a folk band or anything.
And currently, we had a show done by the guy from The Sims that I talked to you about called Bar Karma. Mm-hmm. And it reminds me, Bar Karma and Environmental Coffee House. Yeah.
Okay, Obi-Mom Kenobi also said, I usually have some amount of compassion for stupid people, but Trump, I can't. I just cannot. Yes, it's hard to extend it to him. Zane says, Johnny Pie finally screened my comment. Winky face. Exactly, Zane. I'm on to you. And Joshua says, imagine that there's gambling in this establishment. I think talking about maybe the ICE story, but I don't believe that there was in that case.
I think it's a reference to Casablanca.
Oh,
in Casablanca, I can't believe there's gambling in this establishment. And then they're like, you're winning, sir. And he takes him and puts him in his pocket and walks off.
I have seen it. I just don't remember. I saw it at Cinespia.
Such a great movie.
It was good, yeah. That, by the way, is the thing that I'm probably going to miss the most about this summer is that Cinespia is not going to happen. Like, of events that got canceled. Well, in Gen Con. But what are you going to miss, Brett?
I don't know.
Walks on the beach, you can do those again.
I can do those again, thank God. And you look around and you're like, yes, this does seem like a reasonable reopening. There's not a lot of people. They haven't opened the parking lot, so you can't just all mob the same place.
Yeah.
You have to find a certain amount of parking, which restricts the amount of people who can be there, and it makes sense.
Yeah. I wanted to show this very briefly. This is Bart with Mark Hamill.
Oh, that was one of the best days of my life.
That's so cool.
It's when he
Bart
went to
been
me.
Here for forever.
It's when Mark Hamill said, "Hi, Brett," and I was like, "Oh!"
I talked to him briefly.
I watched Current. I watched you on Current, and I was just like,
"Wait, he said that?"
Yeah, he knows. He knows who you are too, John.
He didn't say anything
like he very obviously knows who you are.
I don't think he.
It was insane to me that he was like, "Yeah, what?" And I just was like,
"That's pretty cool."
I don't know what to do now. That's why I haven't accomplished anything since that day, because there's no higher to climb.
You're just you're on the senior slump or whatever. Like you feel like you got your diploma signed by Mark Hamill.
And where Italy's been since the fall of Rome.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's true. Okay, Brett, you ready for a little bit of fun? I can be sad for Italy.
I know, it's your people.
Yeah, the government's a mess. It has been for a long time. Like over the past, 2,000 years. It's been rough.
I mean, I loved it. I talked to the guy in Italy about it who was like, and I was complaining. I was like, how do your post offices work? I tried to send something from a post office and they didn't have envelopes there. He's like, listen, if it's not food, if it's not fashion, if it's not history, it's not going to happen.
Oh my God, that is so sad.
He was great.
Okay. We're going to move from something sad to something happy, Brett. Are you ready?
Sure.
Are you going first?
Sure, yes.
Okay, well, I will throw to you in just 1 minute. Okay. It is Friday once again, and that means it's time to take out the trash. Okay, Brett, it is the time we've all been waiting for. Time to fill up the trash can. Mine already has a bunch of, protein bar wrappers in it and some paper. But I think that we need to put some of the worst people in the country in it. And you get to go first.
I just love that your trash can's just protein bars and paper. The two things a growing boy needs to survive.
I'm stuck in quarantine. What do you want me to make? Anyway, so who do you have for us today?
Today it's Papa John.
Oh.
Papa John has gone viral in a way that actually is somehow less trashy than the other times he's gone viral, but still wildly cringeworthy. He went on TikTok, and as a way to fill the time, he did an MTV Cribs style tour of his house, and somehow manages to creep everyone out within the first 30 seconds. Take a look.
Howdy, Papa John. Welcome to my crib.
Ooh. Ooh. What?
I hate it.
Everyone hates it.
Clock. Eagles go up, several thousand feet. They made all the way down, and right before they hit the earth, they separate, so they don't get hurt or killed. Perfect timing. Eagle's mating clock spins 4 times an hour. Howdy!
What is the thing about the eagle? What is that?
It's a clock. Everything's weird. So, like, you see this giant, gaudy sculpture, and it's like 20 feet tall, and it's 2 eagles, and you're like, well, jingoistic, yes, I understand. But then he communicates that it's not just eagles. It's eagles doing it.
Mm-hmm.
He has a 20-foot tall sculpture of eagles doing it in his foyer. In an $11 million house, which is it's literally the most expensive house in Louisville, Kentucky, from which he was recorded at one time dropping the N-bomb on a company call, just so you know why he's a garbage person in the first place and why you haven't seen him so much lately. It's because of that.
Yeah.
But not only is it eagles doing it, he also reveals that it's a clock. So you're like, oh, what, where are the hands? Where are the numbers? Anything like that? No. He reveals that the way his 20-foot tall eagles screw-in clock works is it rotates every 15 minutes. So in order to understand how his eagles doing it clock works at a whopping 20 feet, you need to know what 15-minute period you're in throughout the day. So you can track. Oh, we are 3/4 of the way through this 15-minute period in the day.
So it's like if a regular clock can narrow it down to the minute, and like, you know, we use AM PM, so hypothetically if you didn't see that, it could narrow it down to at least half the day. As long as you've narrowed it down to 15 minutes, he can get you the rest of the way. That is not very useful.
It's a clock.
Tax the rich.
If you have a watch.
Yeah.
And
by the way, can I just show what vibes I'm getting from that statue? It's very strong, these vibes.
Zoolander wrestling.
It's a metaphor. Also, that happened.
Oh my god.
That is the vibes. And have I eaten of the Papa John's pizza? Yes, I have, and I kind of like it.
So good.
It seems weird, though, that it results in a person having that ostentatious a level of wealth that it no longer even makes sense metaphorically. Yeah.
It's a moat.
Choice.
He has a moat.
I
think he has like a train, an underground train that goes to different parts of his house. Something like that.
Wow. The rich waste money on a lot of stuff, and they can be very disconnected from what's really going on in this country and what's going to happen. I will say that one of the purchases from a rich individual that I get the most and have the most respect for is that he has at least the self-awareness to prepare with a moat, considering what he's contributing to societally.
He also is wearing a t-shirt that says Papa on it.
Yeah, he needs to remind people of who he is. His pants say John on the butt. Anyway, okay, very good garbage person. You ready for mine? Okay. For my garbage person, it's actually going to be garbage people, and I've been waiting some time to say this. It is these individual. No, not these guys, actually. It's just guys, but when you Google guys, this is the sort of picture you get. Guys, American guys are my garbage people, but why? For a very specific reason. It has to do with the pandemic. A new study shows that men in the U.S. report less intention than women to wear face coverings, especially in counties that don't mandate wearing them. But that by itself would not be enough. It's not just that they won't do what's necessary to protect them, and by doing that, they will hurt others. It's the reason men more than women agree that wearing a face covering is shameful, not cool, a sign of weakness, and a stigma. And these gender differences also mediate gender differences in intentions to wear a face covering. So because it's not cool, because it makes you look weak, they're going to risk their own health and possibly harm others, possibly kill others. Garbage.
You're such wussbags. Like, that's the thing, is they'd be like, you snowflake cuck West Coast liberal. It's like, no. You're triggered. You think your masculinity rises and sets with whether you're wearing a face mask?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what you think it is. Like, you feel like you will, like Samson, you will lose your power if people can't see what? Your jaw? Get over it. Get over it.
Yeah.
It's like you're being a good dad. You're being a good dad by setting an example. Do that.
Yes, you would think. It's like it's not a dichotomy, but it's like men are presented with looking weak and being weak, and they will take the being weak every single time.
That's funny.
And that's just the case. It matters. It's not just a choice for yourself. It's that you will get the people around you sick, potentially. You will kill people. If one man does this, maybe it doesn't matter. If millions of men are being affected in this way and making mask-wearing decisions based on those feelings, that has a toll. We don't know exactly how many people will get sick or die as a result of it, but you could be assured that there will be some. That because they are so fundamentally weak, they will kill people. And by the way, oddly so, it is a piece of protective equipment you wear. What other piece of protective equipment has ever been considered not cool? Like the tank of air that a fireman wears, lame. Knights in shining armor. That armor makes you look weak. What do you need that armor for, knights? Who thinks that?
The Dothraki do look badasser.
Than
the men in the iron suits.
Maybe. I don't know. Our soldiers, you always see them with like their body armor. Wusses. Who needs body armor? Who thinks this way? Who thinks this way?
By their logic, they should go around naked. Why
Exactly.
cover anything up? Take off the shirts. Take off the pants. Take off the undie pants.
Yeah. And
Traipse about.
Yeah, and men are also less likely to believe that they'll be seriously impacted, which is particularly ironic, they point out, because men are being killed at higher rates already. Don't be so stupid that you die. It can't be masculinity.
I don't care if
following
you're so
it kills you as a man.
I don't care if you're so stupid that you die. I care that if you're so stupid that you kill me.
That's also true. Don't be so stupid you kill me. And it's not just a thing of just right now. Women were also more likely to wear face masks during the SARS outbreak and the H1N1 outbreak, according to a 2014 literature review. This is just a thing that apparently happens.
Yeah, I also wonder if that's just like that's one less thing I have to like pink tax myself for. There's an extra layer of stuff. Maybe. I don't know. That's me being totally...
But I did see in the audience, I don't know if it's Jamie or Jaime, but pointed out where I'm turning to next, because I don't want to just point out the bad people. I also want to point out the good people, and so let's do that. A man I used to watch quite a bit of, Stone Cold Steve Austin, had put up this photo saying running errands on the mean streets of LA. He's got a mask. It's a little bit too small, cuts off his circulation, but he still thanked the person who made it for him. And so you would think Stone Cold Steve Austin has, through his pro wrestling career, bought a little bit of get off my back about whether I'm a man enough. Mm-hmm. But Ahan51 is a true alpha male. I was going to tell him what the deal is. Says, the mask goes against your reputation. Stay strong. Be a rebel. Don't conform. Cool mask, but strip off the communism. To which Stone Cold responded, shut up, dude.
I love that they're saying that conformity is communist when then you can look at all the goose-stepping Nazis in the same outfit.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Just shut up. Here's the thing. There is an ongoing battle in a million different forms influencing what men think about men and what they're supposed to do. And look, I get someone in the comments was like, this is sexist to attack all men. Okay, whatever. I care about whether men are doing something that is going to harm themselves and others. And clearly, they have been trained to think that protecting yourself is weak. And so, thank God there are people like Stone Cold who are telling them that they're not. So if you are an icon of American masculinity, post a photo of yourself wearing a mask. Attack the haters who attack you for it. Like, we've got to fight back against this.
It's like Iron Man too. It's like using Batman, Iron Man, using technology to protect people, because you're also protecting others when you do that. I will say one other thing that I almost put in Happy Half Hour, but we didn't have time for it, was along the men route. There was a New York Times story about they surveyed parents who are teaching their kids and doing there's everybody staying home and trying to homeschool their kids. Something like 70 to 80% of men said that they are actually doing more work than their spouses, than their females, and only like 3% of women agreed with that.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I did like that.
Made me so happy.
And you just because you mentioned Iron Man and Batman, but it's going around all over the place. But there's a quote from The Dark Knight Rises: "The mask isn't for you; it's for the people you care about."
Mm-hmm.
They've been trying to teach us. Have we been listening? That is the question. And some, unfortunately, have not. Really fast, Jimmy Joe says, I actually watched wrestling during Stone Cold, The Rock, Kurt Angle era. That is exactly the era that I watched wrestling during, and I do very much miss it.
I would like to issue a correction.
What's
that
that?
Everyone called me out for in the comments I'm seeing. It was apparently there's a movie called Dodgeball that is not Zoolander. I said Zoolander with Wrestling the Bull.
I didn't even realize that you said Zoolander. Yes, it's Dodgeball.
I assume you would have corrected me if you'd known. But alas, I've only seen Dodgeball once, and I've seen Zoolander like 4 times. So that's why I defaulted to that.
And I only watched the first half of Zoolander, but I've watched Dodgeball many times. It's like, feel free to disagree with me in the comments. It's very sad to me that I don't feel like Dodgeball really holds up at all, which makes me very sad because I really liked it when I first saw it. But anyway, now, what do you all think? Who do you think were the greatest examples of American garbagedom? So we asked you and polled you, and 14,000 of you responded on the community tab on the Damage Report YouTube channel. And so of the possibilities with Trump, Elon Musk, Bill Barr, and Jacob Wohl, Trump wins with 24%. Although the second place race between Elon Musk and Bill Barr is pretty close. People not happy with Bill Barr.
Closer than previous year,
But you're saying usually
votes.
Trump like runs away with it?
I wonder if all of the above absorbed a lot of the wishy-washies.
Yeah, I would like to see a breakdown of all of the above, what their second choice would be. But yeah, so I'm glad that some people are going to put all of the above, but at a certain point you got to choose, and pretty close on those 3. Jacob Wohl is garbage, but people don't care that much about him. So yeah. Anyway, good job, everybody who voted. Thank you so much. 14,000 of you. Wow. Okay, Brett, thank you for joining me on the show. It's my favorite way to end the week, both the full show, but also I like doing garbage people with you.
Me too.
I wish we need to come up with like a segment for each day on the level of a garbage people.
No, you don't.
You go do that.
Save your Segas for me, man.
Go do that. No, I need something for JR, something for Francesca. We got to do that. Okay.
Garbage women, per se.
What's that?
Do something different, like garbage women.
Yes.
Garbage
that's what I will
men,
suggest.
and I get garbage people because I'm woker.
Okay.
I'd want to shout out the one person who did your the ICP fan, who did a shout out basically saying, I'm a progressive ICP fan, but I will miss the Juggalo reunions. I get it, man. I get it. You do you.
Yeah. I briefly listened to some ICP way back. I thought it was funny. I listened to it the way some people watch Alex Jones. It's like, just like, this is a thing? Anyway, okay, Brett, thank you so much. Let's play some Fortnite this weekend.
Okay.
See ya. Where are we dropping?
Bye.
Bye. Okay, and everybody in the chat, there are some super chats I want to catch up on. So let's see what's going on. Oh, there's some great pictures. Oh, wait, okay, I gotta, it's you only reach your 13th anniversary so often. So we had, so this is Bart. You love the cropping on this from me. Bart meeting Silent Bob himself there. Pretty awesome. Bart, over the years, has gotten to meet a lot of his favorite celebrities, which is absolutely awesome. Okay, so with that, thank you again, Bart, and let's catch up on some super chats. Adam Knight says, Ovaltine, ever heard of this stuff? Why do they call it Ovaltine? The mug is round, the jar is round, they should call it Roundtine. Gold, Jerry, gold. Look, if you guys want to send in super chats that are just quoting some of your favorite lines from Seinfeld or Sunny or whatever, feel free. I like it, especially at the end of the week. The Breaker of Walls says, story on Operation Warp Speed. Trump admin get military to give vaccines once they make it. Anti-vaxxers versus reopeners. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's why he's saying a vaccine isn't necessary. He doesn't want to turn off the anti-vax crowd. But the anti-vax crowd also doesn't exist purely on the right. It's very much, among libs as well. Benjamin Matthews says, great shows all week, John. Thank you. I miss Think Tank. Oh, everyone should tune into Happy Half Hour tonight, and Bart always makes things run much smoother. Thank you, Benjamin. I miss Think Tank as well. I'm actually sitting just a few feet away from where I used to film Think Tank, which was also filmed in my living room back in the day. Matthew says, just a question from a fan, favorite type of music? Thank you, Matthew. I don't, like on an average day, I don't necessarily listen to any music. I know that sounds crazy. That doesn't mean I don't like it. When I go to the gym, I do listen to music. It'll be like, I don't know, good workout songs, like a mixture of probably some stuff that's considered rock, I don't know, but also R&B and rap too. Like anything that has like a beat that works with working out. I don't know. I'll go into my playlist at some point on the show. Maybe when we actually hit 1,000 likes. Lily Umper says John's dodgeball reference for the win. Thank you. And Bart actually put into the chat another dodgeball reference. The nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Nobody. So good job there, Bart. And let's see. Franklin says, it's kind of sad, it must be said, the urge to take the symbolic Kool-Aid, but if they insist, not much I can do, but I'll decline and so should you. See you at Happy Half Hour. Thank you, Franklin, for both a good comment, but also another little limerick? Poem? I don't know. Miranda says, are the 2K viewers who, without likes, all the hate watching, that's really showing you guys. Thank you. Maybe. Zane says, put on the mask and just look like a douchebag. Just put on the mask and look like someone who takes the world around you seriously. That's what I would say. John's Venn diagram of desire says, you will always reap what you sow. Loved Bar Karma. Oh my god, I wish Brett was still here for a Bar Karma fan. Arlene says, so jock straps are out then? Exactly. You don't wear pads, man. You don't use gloves. You don't use any of that stuff, you bunch of wusses. Who locks their door? I don't want to look weak after all. You carry a gun? That doesn't make you look... I don't know. Oh, apparently Craig has been putting in those photos. But anyway, thank you, Craig, for doing that. I will assume you're doing it in Bart's memory. He's still here, by the way. Yarmul, thank you for your fox. Strayek says, is that unexpected, John? They don't want to inconvenience people buying guns despite many mass shootings. Do you think not wearing a mask is a stretch? Yeah, it's not unexpected that there's a massive amount of hypocrisy. I mean, after all, I forget who it was. I think it was that Australian comedian who said, you know, why is it that these people who are obsessed with home defense spend so much money on guns and not on getting like a solid steel door? Like if you want to just protect your home, there are other ways to do it. It seems like a lot of you want to have the gun in particular. Environmental coffee, and I know that I'm painting with a broad brush. If I ever do that, even like, for instance, about people from Long Island, I'm not saying everybody. I'm really not saying everybody. Environmental Coffee House says, thank you. We are no donation, by the way. We shared True North. Thank you. We're all jealous because we discuss Arctic ice a lot. Sandy, Tony, Nick, and Jennifer. Thank you to all of you. I appreciate that. A binary name says, I'm in a minuscule minority being both a progressive and an ICP fan, but I'm going to miss, this is what Brett was talking about, I'm going to miss the gathering of the Juggalos this year. COVID-19 broke their 20-year-long streak. Insane, but responsible clown posse, everyone. Exactly. They were one of the early responsible ones. They should not have to be leaders in being responsible. The writers of Fat Sweaty Betty should not have to be leaders in being responsible, but they were. James Partney says, thanks for being awesome, guys. And Gary, thank you as well. Oh, wait. Lost another one there. Let's see. Dougie says, hoping Anna's mom is okay. Please pass on our love. Any updates? Sending our thoughts and love. I actually have mentioned to Anna that a lot of comments have been coming in saying that. And so thank you for that. I have heard stuff that seems to be moving in a good direction. That's the most that I can say. But I'm sure she appreciates everybody caring about her and her family so much. Jenna says, happy birthday, John. Happy birthday to my better half, Philip. Thank you, Jenna. Jim Wan, thank you for your fist bump. Boop. Amanda says over 1K likes. Thank you, everybody. You finally listened. Are you not merciful? Liza says, are any of the TYT hosts major Office fans? I mean, I think I would say that, I don't know for Jank, but all the rest of us have watched a ton of Office. Like Brett and I have watched it, couldn't even tell you how many times through. His wife has watched it 1,000,000 times. Yes, a lot of big Office fans. Gina says, not a warrior, just want to keep my family safe. Exactly, and I just want your family to be safe. Name Withheld says, Alex Jones said if it came down to it, he would eat his neighbors. Imagine living next to him. Exactly. Man, that was in the news so briefly that he was threatening to kill and consume his neighbors. But anyway, on the hashtag TDR Live, Eclectic Miscellaneous says, wow, Brett Erlich is being serious about Hamill himself knowing him in the Young Turks. He apparently was even on the show. How cool is that? Yeah, so he was on the current show. We had a bunch of, like, celebrities come in to be on the show. We've had a lot of really cool people. I mean, Jim Gaffigan and Bill Nye and all sorts of people. I'm going to forget so many of them, but yeah. Anyway, I think that's it. All caught up. Thank you, everybody. If you've been watching both this show and the Man Show, you know that for me personally, just mentally and emotionally, this has been a difficult week. So thank you for being here and chatting along and sending the super chats. It really does help. Everybody who has been leaving reviews the podcast, that's some of the most positive feedback I get. So thank you. I do read all of that. And so, yeah, thank you, everybody. Tolga's asking, have you ever watched the original Office with Ricky Gervais? Yes, I watched it before our one ever happened here in the U.S. Liza says, can we get some Office talk in a post-game? That would be cool. If post-game ever goes back to being that, like if we go back in the studio, like not just being more stories, I will definitely suggest that. But yeah, I can say I not only love the American one, but I really liked, I just watched the pilot for the British one like 3 days ago again. But I've watched the whole thing through several times. And now I'm watching, by the way, if you like Ricky Gervais, his show Afterlife, which the second season is now available on Netflix, is very good. I really do like it. He's done a lot of good shows other than The Office. I don't necessarily agree with all of what he does stand-up-wise, but his shows tend to be very good. Anyway, thank you everybody for joining us for the supersized edition of the Damage Report. Appreciate you joining us throughout the week. We've got a lot planned for next week as well, and there will be multiple interviews being filmed. I've got Madeline Peltz of Media Matters I'll be talking with today. That'll be going up either today or over the weekend. And Tiwa Cheng, our investigative reporter in the area of money and politics with climate change. I'm going to be talking with him as well today. So if you're not already subscribed to the channel, check it every once in a while to see what videos were not done live. And hope you enjoy them. Everybody, have a good weekend. Stay safe. Wear your mask. It's strong and smart. And strong because it's smart. Bye.